Welcome to Lesson 7E, Moving Normal Shock Example Problem. In this lesson, we'll work through a detailed moving normal shock example problem, and then I'll discuss an alternative analysis using the Hugoniot equation. In this example, we have a normal shock from a blast wave moving at speed Vs, which is given and sketched here. The air at 1 is at SATP, standard ambient temperature and pressure, which I always take as 25 degrees C, and standard atmospheric pressure. And we want to calculate properties before and after the moving shock, and then compare them to those obtained from a stationary shock frame of reference. Notice here that I label AS aftershock as this region behind the moving shock, so the speed there is VAS. V1 of course is 0 since the air here is stationary. The shock is moving from left to right. We make the standard approximations, ideal gas, and we ignore ground effects and friction. What I've sketched is the moving shock frame of reference. I'll also sketch here the same shock in a stationary shock frame of reference. If this is our shock, regions 1 and 2 are before and after the shock as typical, where V1 is from right to left with its associated Mach number. And recall that this V1 is the same as Vs, which from the given information is 880 meters per second. In this frame of reference, M2 and V2 are the Mach number and speed after the shock. And from the previous lesson, V2 is Vs minus Vas. Let's work on the static properties first, since as you may recall, are independent of frame of reference. Speed of sound A1 is square root of gamma RT1, and we're using air, so gamma is 1.40, and R for air is 287 meters squared per second squared K, and T1 is 298.15 K. This gives us 346.12 meters per second. This is the speed of sound in front of the shock. The shock Mach number for the moving shock is Vs over A1, which by the way is still air. And when we plug in Vs and A1, we get 2.5425 as the shock Mach number. M1 is V1 over A1, and since V1 is equal to Vs and the A1s are the same, we get the same Mach number. So M1 equal Ms, as we've already stated previously. For temperature T2, we use our ratios. T2 is T2 over T1 times T1, and we can get this equation from our stationary shock equations previously. I won't write out all the equations, but at this Mach number, M1, M2 is 0.50900. And as I mentioned previously, we can use M2 as an intermediate step to simplify our equation for T2 over T1. But keep in mind that M2 is not the same as MAS in the moving shock reference frame. But since temperature itself is a static property, T2 and TAS are the same. Well, this gives us T2 over T1 equal 2.1799. So plugging that here, we get T2 equal TAS equal 2.1799 times T1. So T2 equal TAS equals 649.94 K. Notice how hot this is. The temperature has gone up more than 350 degrees C or 350 K across the shock. We do a similar thing for pressure. P2 is P2 over P1 times P1, and we use our standard shock equation to get this ratio and multiply by P1. So pressure 2 is the same as PAS, which turns out to be 747.273 kPa. I just comment here that since this is atmospheric pressure, P2 is 7.375 atmospheres, which is a huge pressure increase. This is a very high pressure. For density ratio, which is also the inverse of the speed ratio by conservation of mass, we plug into our shock equations and get 3.38318. So V2 is V1 over rho 2 over rho 1 by solving this equation for V2 and plugging in the numbers. we get that V2 is 260.11 meters per second. Keep in mind that this is the stationary shock frame of reference. In the moving shock frame of reference, we know that Vs is equal to V1, and V after the shock is Vs minus V2, or V2 equal Vs minus Vas. So the ratio V1 over V2 is Vs over Vs minus Vas, which we can now solve for Vas. This involves a little bit of algebra, but we get Vas is 1 minus V2 over V1 times Vs. Well, we know Vs and we know this ratio, which is the inverse of this number. So Vas becomes 619.89 meters per second. This is the speed following the shock or after the shock in the moving shock frame of reference. This is fast. Notice that Vas is greater than V2. By the way, blast waves can be very destructive. Suppose we have some explosion at time t0 and some person is standing here minding his own business. The blast wave comes speeding toward him at Vs, with Vas following. Suppose this is at time t1. The person has no idea that this shock is approaching. Unless he sees it, he will not have heard it or felt it yet. But at some later time, t2, where the shock has passed, instead of the air being at SATP conditions at t1, now suddenly at t2, t is t after the shock, and the same with pressure and speed. So this person is suddenly hit with very hot air to 3 digits, 650 K, very high pressure air, 747 kPa, and very fast air, 620 meters per second.
I don't think an old feller like me could survive that.
No one could survive that, Pops. In fact, this person is suddenly hit with hot, high pressure, and very fast air. It's like being hit with a brick wall, and nobody could survive this sudden change of temperature, pressure, and speed. This person has no chance for survival. I should mention that to be more precise, Vs decreases as the shock moves, so I'm going to label this Vs1 and Vas1, and we'll let time t2 be the situation in the given problem statement. The farther downwind this person is from the blast wave, the weaker the shock, the smaller the Vs, and the smaller the Vas, Tas, and Pas as well. But if you're close to the explosion, this blast wave would be deadly. We can also calculate the Mach number after the shock. MAS is VAS over AAS, and AAS is the square root of gamma R TAS, and we get MAS is 1.2130. And something that may surprise you here is that MAS is supersonic. So I comment that for a moving shock, MAS can be either supersonic or subsonic, whereas in the stationary shock frame of reference, M2 was always subsonic. Here MAS is much greater than M2, which was 0.50900, and in this particular case it's supersonic. As this shock keeps moving downwind, and it's actually a spherical shock, MAS eventually goes subsonic, and MS eventually goes to 1, and from then on it's simply a sound wave. Now consider the stagnation properties, recalling that stagnation properties do depend on frame of reference. So for example, T02 is T01 in the stationary shock frame of reference that we're used to, but T0AS is not equal to T01 in the moving shock frame of reference. First, let's calculate T01 in the usual manner. T01 over T1 times T1, and T01 over T1 is 1 plus gamma minus 1 over 2 m1 squared. And plugging in the numbers, we get T01 is 683.62 K. Similarly, P01 is P01 over P1 times P1, and we plug in the equation for P01 over P1, and we get P01 is 1849.4 kPa. And as I said, T01 is the same as T02, but P02 is P02 over P01, for which we have an expression times P01, and from our equations, that ratio is 0.48220, and we plug in this stagnation pressure, P01, and we get P02 as 891.79 kPa. We're doing all this in the stationary shock frame of reference. What about the moving shock frame of reference? Well, T0 after the shock is T0 after the shock divided by T after the shock times T after the shock. Again, we use the same equation that we used here, namely 1 plus gamma minus 1 over 2 MAS squared, since we're dealing with the Mach number after the shock. And when we plug in the numbers, we get T0 AS is 841.20 K. And I comment that T0 AS is greater than T0 2, which is up here. Similarly, P0 AS is the ratio P0 AS over PAS times PAS. And again, we use the same equation as here, but with the appropriate Mach number. And when you plug in the numbers, you get P0 AS is 1843.2 kPa. Comparing these two, P0 AS is greater than P0 2. Now let's compare specific stagnation enthalpy for the two frames of reference. In the stationary shock frame of reference, we know that H02 equal H01 equals Cp T01 for an ideal gas, or 1004.5 joule per kilogram K times 683.62 K, or H02 and H01 are both 686,700 joule per kilogram. In the moving shock frame of reference, H0 after the shock is Cp T0 after the shock. And when we plug in the numbers, we get H0 AS is 844,990 joule per kilogram. And notice that H0 AS is greater than H0 2. In the moving shock frame of reference, stagnation enthalpy does not stay the same, even though it does so for the stationary shock frame of reference. And just for fun, let's calculate H0 AS a different way, namely H0 AS equal HAS plus VAS squared over 2, where HAS is CPTAS, and we add VAS squared over 2, and plugging in the numbers, where we calculated TAS and VAS above, and we need a couple unity conversion factors here, and this gives us H0 AS equal 844,990 joule per kilogram, which agrees with our previous calculation, and that always makes me happy. Finally, I'll briefly discuss an alternative analysis of moving shocks. In the moving shock frame of reference, we recall these equations: conservation of mass, linear momentum, and conservation of energy, which we label 1m, 2m, and 3m, where the m stands for the moving shock frame of reference. These are the equations across a moving shock. Well, I'm not going to show any of the algebra, but after quite a bit of algebra, you can come up with u2 minus u1 equal p1 plus p2 over 2, 1 over rho 1 minus 1 over rho 2, which you hopefully will recognize as the Hugoniot equation, the same Hugoniot equation we had across a stationary shock. So the main comment here is that the Hugoniot equation is independent of frame of reference. That actually should not be surprising, since the Hugoniot equation is made up of only static properties. I'll also comment that from a thermodynamics perspective, moving shocks can be described by pressure ratio rather than by Mach number. Pressure ratio is a thermodynamics property, whereas Mach number is a fluid mechanics kind of property. Namely, for a known shock with P2 over P1 known, we can solve the Hugoniot equation for rho 2 over rho 1 as a function of P2 over P1 and gamma for an ideal gas. Then T2 over T1, using the ideal gas law, is P2 over R rho 2 times R rho 1 over P1, which is P2 over P1, rho 1 over rho 2, since the r's cancel. So T2 over T1 is also a function of pressure ratio and gamma. And with further algebra, which I won't show, we can actually solve for ms and vs as functions of P2 over P1 and gamma. I won't spend any more time on the Hugoniot equation except to say that this is an alternate way to analyze moving shocks. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos. 1, 2, 3. That's all there is to it.